Hello everyone, welcome again to the channel. Today I want to report to you some news about the Ukrainian situation. So the first one is this that says that there was a key breach in the Kherson region that was badly damaged by Ukrainian shelling. And this bridge is called the Antonivsky Bridge and is in the Kherson region. So apparently it was just damaged, but currently the traffic didn't stop. They just closed the bridge to cargo traffic, but cars are still able to use the bridge. That's what they're saying here. And the bridge is about 1 kilometer long. That's what they're saying. And there is some speculation that it was attacked with the HIMARS system. So they are saying that it was with 12 shells that they attacked it, and so they are saying that the damage is considerable, but they are starting to repair it. But if they say the strikes continue, the bridge might collapse. That's like the main thing. And of course, what it's saying here is interesting in this way that the HIMARS, the way that Ukraine is using the HIMARS, is using it like I said in a previous video. They are using it to target specific places. So this is not the way they're usually utilized, for example, by the US military. The US military uses them like in batteries, and it seems like Ukraine is using them in isolation to hit specific targets. Not they are not using them to, like in a battery with 8 or more of them together with some radars or other elements. So that's kind of significant how they use it, because they don't use it all in a concentrated point. I don't know if they do that to prevent Russia from destroying them, but that's significant. So let's take a look at this bridge, where it's located. This bridge is here. So this is the let's say the main way this bridge looks. So it's quite long bridge, 1 kilometer, and it goes over the Dnieper River. So it's not going over the sea. It's just going on the river. And this also is significant because there are only 2 bridges in this area. This is the Antonivsky bridge, and then we have this other bridge here further up the river. But I'm guessing that it is harder to attack that bridge because it's a little bit farther from the front lines, not by much, maybe a few 10 kilometers from it. So it is relatively close to the front lines. As you know, this is the Nikolaev area. So the Kherson region is controlled by Russian forces, but the Nikolaev area is not. So it's rather easy target. And here on this side we have the border between the Nikolaev Oblast and the Kherson Oblast. There is Melitopol, Crimea, see? So that's kind of the location of where this took place. And the next news are from the Ukrainian First Lady, Olena Zelenska. She visited the United States, and she addressed the Congress in the US Capitol on Wednesday. And as expected, she was asking the US to send more weapons to Ukraine. She said, "I'm asking for weapons that will not be used to wage a war on somebody else's land, but to protect one's home and the right to wake up alive in that home." And they are just mentioning again this same story that the United States has given their approval for Ukraine to use the HIMARS against Crimea, and this is exactly why some stories around this have been circulating recently, which I will mention in the next news. They mention other things that are not related to her visit, like these things that I already mentioned in a previous video, like Alexei Reznikov. He says that the Ukrainian army needs 100 HIMARS and all these things. So it's more of the same. Basically, what I already mentioned before, if you are curious to see the previous video, more weapons will not help Ukraine. That's why I'm always advocating for peace. I think the sooner the peace is negotiated, the better it will be for the Ukrainian people. I don't care too much about the Ukrainian politicians. I think they don't care about their people. But I care about the people of Ukraine. So I think it's better if peace comes to this country as soon as possible. And then the General Milley was asked by maybe a journalist. He says that they were asking, a reporter asked him if the region of the Donbass was lost. And he said, "No, it's not lost yet." So that's him right there. And they also said, where was this? Oh, yes, here. So in regards to the Ukraine army's threat that they are going to use the HIMARS to attack Crimea, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said several things, but in essence he says that let's say the objectives as far as territory in Ukraine will go beyond the Donbass, because this is actually not news. He's just repeating something that was said from the beginning, that the military operation was intended to protect Russian territory and Russian regions, Russian-speaking regions. That's what they were saying basically. Earlier in the year, probably it was around March. So they say that they were take as much territory as is possible to counter the weapon systems that Ukraine is provided. So the longer the range that the Ukrainian army has, the longer inside the territory of Ukraine that the military operation will go. So in a way, this is not really news, but it has been circulating a lot recently, and is going back to the initial thing that they say that is this region is not lost is just some kind of fantasy. You know, this is the map of Ukraine. The area that is highlighted in red is occupied by Russia. So this is Kherson region, Zaporizhia region, and this is Luhansk. And here we have Kharkov. So Kharkov is occupied about 30%, Luhansk 100%, and Donetsk is occupied probably about 60 to 70%. So just saying that it's not lost, the Donbass is technicality really is practically lost. Remember that the Donbass is not only Donetsk. The Donbass is Luhansk and Donetsk. So altogether the region is occupied, the entire region of the Donbass is occupied probably around 60 to 70%, maybe more, maybe 80%, hard to say exactly. So they will consider that it's not lost until the last centimeter has been already occupied. You know? And Ukraine is saying that they are going to seek a debt freeze. If you remember, recently I reported that the gas company of Ukraine was also seeking debt freeze. So now officially Ukraine has asked its international creditors, including Western powers and the world's largest investment firms, to freeze its debt payments for 2 years. And then they mention here some more details. So they say that they have a 5 billion a month fiscal shortfall. So that's a deficit. That's a lot of money. If you remember, there were some recent news that they say that Ukraine was requesting 9 billion a month just to survive, just to go by, you know. So this is significant because, like I said before, the Ukrainian state basically is a failed state. At this point, without external help, it will have already collapsed. And the Ukrainian army is in the verge of collapse. There is no need for this, you know, to have more deaths, both in the Ukrainian side and in the Russian side. War could stop today, you know, if the Ukrainian state decided to negotiate peace, but they are not interested in that. And they also mention again this strange story. I think that they say that they're estimating how much it will take to rebuild the infrastructure of Ukraine, and they say that it will be about 100 billion. And then there is this estimate from the European Investment Bank that has warned that it could run into trillions. So anyway, this is just nonsense in my opinion. Remember that this is my personal opinion. I think it's nonsense because why talk about reconstruction but they don't want to talk about peace? It's easier to stop minimizing the losses, the material losses and the human losses. Negotiating peace will be so much better than just talking about some strange topics that are not even relevant to the current situation. That's my opinion. So, you know, more confirmations that Ukraine is losing in every front, you know, and people don't want to realize it, or maybe they don't want to see it. It's not very well promoted in the mainstream media. And again, more news. They are going to send more French Caesar howitzers to Ukraine. This is the photo of this howitzer. If you remember, recently there was a story that one of these howitzers was illegally sold by Ukrainian military officers to Russia. And there hasn't been official confirmation of this, but there is a lot of speculation that might have been the case. So they're just mentioning how many have delivered. Apparently they delivered already 12, and they are going to send another 6 to make it 18 in total. This is a very small amount, so people don't realize how little is 6, how little is 18 in the whole context of the conflict. Is basically almost insignificant. Of course, people will die with every weapon, with every shell, with every shot of artillery, but it will not be significant in the big scheme of things, you know. And the last one is this report that Ukraine attacked the Zaporizhia nuclear plant with some drones recently, and apparently the report is that they used 2 drones to attack the facilities, and 1 drone was destroyed when it was approaching the plant. And you know, there is this accusation from Ukraine, which is kind of interesting. They say Ukraine has previously accused Moscow of basing troops and storing military equipment on the grounds of the power station. I don't know what is the truth about that. You know, this is Ukrainian company, Energoatom, which is operating the plant. If you don't know, the Ukrainian employees are still operating the plant, and the energy is flowing to Ukraine, to whatever it was before. And they are saying that they are accusing Russian forces of demanding access to the machine halls of 3 reactors at the plant in order to store tanks and equipment there. I cannot confirm that. I will imagine that the Russian army will of course put troops. I imagine, is my opinion, that there are defensive equipment, basically troops trying to keep the facility from falling into the hands of the Ukrainian army. That will be my guess, that they are trying to keep probably some military equipment and soldiers there to guard the installation. I don't know if it is true or not that they are doing this as some kind of a strategy for preventing military equipment from being destroyed, but it doesn't seem like the Ukrainian army cares about a possible nuclear incident, you know. This is very reckless. If you remember, at the start of the war, there was this big talk about how the Russian military occupied the Chernobyl region. I thought, in my opinion, that that was some kind of just being responsible. Like a nuclear power plant needs to be monitored. So if they're going to move their military like they moved at the start in the northern part of the country, that passes through Chernobyl. So in my opinion, they occupy that just to monitor, to ensure that everything was safe. That was my opinion, and I think they're doing exactly the same in Zaporizhia. That's again my opinion. Let me know what you think about it. And as always, I want to remind you of the opportunity to help me support my work. In the description of the video, I include different options, different platforms you can use to donate funds to my channel if that's within your power to do it. Or you can also support my work by liking this video, sharing it in social media, and subscribing to the channel. I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you for watching.